Alright, so here we go with the review for Coombs, Doobs, and Meatball. So let's get started. Right off the bat, this isn't too bad. Meatball, you really do want to backflip so you can just get this boost and come back a little bit this way. Coombs, you're kind of hesitating a little bit too much. If Meatball was coming all the way back here, you're free to cheat up a little bit more. If you see how much Obson's cheated up, how right here on this hit, he is definitely going to beat you, and you're just kind of sitting in no man's land. Right here, you're not able to attack the ball or defend because you're too far up to be a goalie, and you're not far enough up to be the cheat. So just go ahead and move on up here. If it doesn't go well, one of the two of you is going to go this way. You want to be almost into this circle by the time Doobs gets this hit. Okay, right here, your other thing is either Doobs or Coombs, since you all two are the two offensive people at the beginning, is going to go for this, and the other one's going to spread out. So Doobs hits it well to his side on the way he's moving in. So Coombs here, you actually would move up into the offensive spot over here, which you start to do, and then on the bad hit, you come back. That's actually not yours at this point. Meatball, where are you? Oh, you're way over here. Okay, so you can't be this far away. How did you get here? Okay, so you went from net and you swung, okay, and you swung all the way for this boost because you didn't grab this boost at the beginning and loop here. So you should have grabbed this boost so you can be at net, and the second you see that Doobs has this touch, you can actually turn up and you should be right kind of at the top of this box here, looking to be Doobs' backup. So you just grab this and be right here, ready to come up because Coombs is already booking it down this way. So if this had happened, then Meatball would be the one who would be coming up here, and Coombs should be the one who comes back. But Meatball's too far away, so Coombs comes in to the position. Here, Meatball, you'd already missed your spot, and you're still coming in like it's your ball. So here you have Coombs is well ahead of you. You can see him with ball cam here. You can see him making this attempt. You're his backup, yet you're hard boosting right at it, removing the distance you have to get this touch. If you went a little bit slower and right here, look at this touch, how he just pops it right back. If you had given him a little bit more space rather than trying to assume he's going to miss and take it after him, he could have dropped that down for a very, very nice redirect touch here. You are able to maintain control, which is nice. Take it over there. You pretty much want to avoid doing that little Yui. In this case, it kind of worked out because you were able to do it pretty quickly. But let's take a look at. So here, the problem with you flipping that Yui is now you're creating too much space between you and Coombs. So Coombs, first of all, you're running way back over this way when it's not even clear that you've lost possession yet. You want to have an equal amount of space between all three people. So you have Meatball here, Doobs here, Coombs. You should be sitting maybe about right here, around midfield, around this backside box, waiting to see if you're cutting in or if you're replacing, because it's not clear yet. So you kind of jump the gun by going really wide and back here on defense when you don't really need to. But if Meatball had moved back over into his position, Coombs had filled a little bit more this way when he sees the good offensive possession. And then Doobs could have come in for that, and we're right back in our triangle. Instead, we have lots of open space, no room here for Doobs to come in or go anywhere. No, Meatball has nobody here on the outside to pass to, and Coombs is sitting way back here in the back, completely out of a play in no man's land. So, and again, a lot of these things just kind of happen based off of assumptions that you're going on defense before you actually see it, cutting rotations, and then just not being sure what to do in the midst of the chaos. And then here, Meatball, again, you're looping back around on the same side. You need to cut over and across, because look at how open this is. There's nobody over here. Coombs has has the backside. Doobs is already coming in to replace you. You need to get out of this one's habit of flipping around and I'm going to hit this ball 2, 3, 4 times in a row. Just, you get the one shot and you move on, you know? If you can do a self-pass touch where you continue the play, that's totally fine. But if you drive past the ball without possession, don't flip a Yui. Somebody else is coming in faster, at a better position, able to do it, and all you're doing is giving up the rotation by doing it. So good move by Coombs here to recognize that Meatball's cut through and back. He ends up realizing that Doobs is here and cuts back, which is a good adaptation, but now you are going back ball side, which does still kind of mess it up, because Coombs has to move up, and now as you're going backwards, you're also responsible to be the next in line to hit this if Doobs messes up. Whereas normally it would be Coombs coming in here, because you cut across on ball side. Now Coombs is moving up this way. It means you are responsible for grabbing this and flipping right back around. So this is actually Meatball's touch here. And as you see, because Meatball's going all the way back for defense, having cut back off of ball side rotation, nobody's able to make this challenge. Coombs is too far over because he was looking for the pass. Doobs just missed it right here, needing the help. It starts rotating back. And now everybody's rotating back. Coombs and Doobs correctly, and Meatball going the wrong way back this way. And nobody's able to challenge this. So luckily they kind of give up possession here. But if he had dribbled that, if they hadn't been on top of each other and maybe someone had been over here trailing, they could have gotten an easy touch pass redirect um, fast break on you guys. Um, Luckily Meatball is able to turn it around and get a little bit of a hit. See what you're trying to do there, Meatball, to get that little touch pass here. The better option would be, you're already here, you're on the fast break. If you can see that Coombs is going to get this, you can actually just keep casually going this way, or even kind of cutting across this way so you don't know if you're cutting back or not. And Coombs will read where you're at, and if you see Meatball going on whichever side, he can just boom it down to that corner. So Meatball, if instead of coming right at the ball, if you were cutting across this way, Coombs could bang it to the right, over your head. You can see that, you can make that turn, and either get that redirect or bang it off the corner for Coombs or Doobs to come back in for that touch. Instead, you cut right back at it, and if you see how close you are and what this angle is, you're not going to get a very good redirect just because your angle of approach. Because you're coming in looking at, if you get a solid hit on it, it goes this way. So to get it to go that way, you have to get it to just barely nick your car, so you're having to try to fly under it and just get like a little pop or just a tiny little touch, and those are hard to do. You make a close attempt right there. That's actually very close, but that's a very difficult maneuver that you shouldn't have had to do. If you had just gone this way and Coombs had boomed it up and over, that could have been a really nice passing play. Doobs comes up, good adaptation. He's got the back. Um, I, and then yeah, Meatball's just too far up, so Coombs does have to flip around and play defense. That's a good adaptation. And Meatball's right behind. Right here, Coombs, you need to not go for this boost if you'll notice that you're next in line. So as you're coming back, so you take this challenge and it goes across the field, which flips the rotations here. So now Meatball's challenging it and Doobs is still way out of a play. Even if you don't have the boost, you need to cut back here until you see that Meatball has possession of this, because this right here is a lot of empty and open space, especially if Whoopi had gotten a touch here or here. Now, because this is your challenge here, so you're supposed to be up right after Meatball while Doobs is coming back around, and now you have too much space. You can't challenge it until he throws it up there, which kind of works. But if he had slow controlled that and come up through the air, you could have been in a lot of trouble given how much space you had given him. Meatball, you were way too close here. So here, Doobs is going correct. He's going wide and around to the backside post. Meatball, however, flips straight down the middle into the net at the middle. So the problem with this is you really can't do anything except protect this near side post, which is already being protected by Doobs here. So anything that cuts up and over, Meatball you're not going to be able to get, which is what your job is. Your job is to be out here protecting the cross or anything off the backboard, but you've positioned yourself so far over here that now you have two people protecting the near side post and nobody protecting the center or the back. So if Wookie Goldberg, actually a funny name, was able to pop it back to the middle here, or off the backboard here. Meatball, you're pointed the wrong way to where you can't contest that, and Doobs is already in a position looking to stop the direct shot, so nobody's able to watch this pass. So anything in this area, all the way to a high lob cross over here, is 100% free for either Mats or Obson to be able to go in and get this dunk. So you really need to get in that habit of going wide and around, trusting your teammate, because right here you cut off Doobs. So now Doobs was supposed to be the next person to come in here, but Meatball skipped around, and now let's look at, oh, and Coombs is coming back around on ball side. So now we have multiple errors going out at once. Meatball's cut Doobs to where he can't come out. Coombs is now, instead of looping out and around to be Doobs' back, he is now cutting back this way, which means Doobs is stuck in the back, completely momentumless. And look, he's literally just sitting there. Let's look at this again. So, actually, thank you for doing this, Doobs, because it completely proves my point on how hopeless of a position you've put your goalie in by cutting him out. So, Doobs coming in to be Coombs' replacement is getting ready to come in for his touch after Coombs' mistake. Meatball cuts him right here, so now Doobs has to hit the brakes. Coombs should be going out and around, getting ready to replace Doobs. Seeing that this cut's happening, you can maybe even take a little bit of a sharper path back here, just to try to free up Doobs as fast as you can. But you do definitely have to go at least outside this goalie box, out and around. You can maybe cut through the sweeper a bit. Normally you want to go all the way around to the edge of the sweeper, but in this situation you have to go a little quicker. So cutting through the sweeper box isn't a big deal, but you do have to go outside this goalie box. But instead you cut back at the ball, and now Doobs still can't come out. Still can't come out. Coombs is coming the wrong way. And now Doobs is kind of able to, nope, still stuck in the back. Now Coombs is still going. That's a solid 10 seconds that Doobs hasn't been able to move. So if a shot were to come his way, he's going to have to try to make a save from a dead stop, coming at maybe different angles as things are being crossed over. And it's a helpless, horrible position to be in as a goalie. You never want to just be stuck standing still in the net. You always want to have that momentum, that rotation. I can go challenge knowing that somebody's coming behind me, but nobody's been coming behind Doobs for quite some time here. And finally he gets to go out. Meatball, you even took a position that showed like you were about to cut him again, and you caught yourself. So you're coming, look at here. So your Doobs is back up. This is one of those times where, okay, you know that Coombs is challenging the ball. Doobs has the next up. This time you're actually free to take this boost because you have the time. You should be grabbing this boost and heading towards the backside ready to place Doobs. He kind of I don't know if he sees you or not, or if he gets nervous, or if he's just backing up to judge this ball. That might be what it is. And you do make it to the back, but you could have taken that time to go here, had your momentum. Okay, here we have, okay, so it booms up from Meatball while Doobs is in the corner off of a miss. Okay. And then Coombs is pointed back, so this does kind of become Doobs to be the next one up. So at this point, y'all two are the offensive men because you know that Coombs is in the back. And Doobs, you start to come up. Meatball's got this. You need to be booking it kind of towards the middle. You're staying a little bit too much up here because you're not the next man up. You are looking to be Meatball support. You're his outlet. So if you're taking a position as the next man to come in, that doesn't give Meatball a lane to pass it to you. So he can't pass it behind him like that. That's only a position to be the next man up if he makes a mistake, and that shouldn't be you. That should be Coombs. So if you wide out a little bit over here, that'll free Coombs to come up a little bit here, because Coombs can't be in his position, because then he's too close to you. Because his position is just a little bit behind where you are right now. So if you move out of the way, then Coombs can come up a little bit more, and we get that triangle, as opposed to this line. And the line is bad because you want to have equal spacing between everyone. So even if the space between Meatball and Doobs is okay, and the space between Doobs and Coombs is okay, the spacing between Meatball and Coombs is not okay, because you should have an equal amount here. So when Meatball has to go all the way around to try to replace Coombs on the backside, that's where you get your mistake. You get a total of three chances here: Meatball, Doobs, then Coombs. And if that doesn't go well, then there's nobody able to come back on the other side, and that's when you start getting these fast breaks. So here we see, yeah, and then Doobs stays on it rather than going out over here, and now we have three people in the same position. Meatball stops cutting back ball side rather than going across. Doobs cuts across rather than conceding the ball to Coombs and going back. And now Coombs is having to come in to make this touch, and he has nothing that he can do with it, except take a bad shot against two goalies from the corner, because he has nobody here in the middle to help him. He has nobody who has his back if it goes poorly. So really his best bet is just to try to stall. You know, maybe carry the ball up here and let Trill try to reset, but he has no good options here. So he kind of taps it to the net, and now we're on the retreat. Now Doobs is the last man back right on the ball, trying to touch it, and then they get a little pop redirect. That very easily could have been a goal for them, and all of that came from the triple commit right here. Okay, so here's another kind of situation where we have we have a fast break opportunity going. Coombs is on the ball, Meatball, you're the support, but look at your positioning. You're trying to come in to attack off of Coombs' play. That's not your job. Your job is to be the outlet, because even if Coombs doesn't get this hit, a lot of times these guys are just going to try to clear it from the ball out and across. So if you're already out this way, which, look, they do, they pop it out to the middle to try to stop it because they can't hit it directly backwards. If you had been positioned a little bit further out this way, that is the easiest redirect in the world. You could either pop it right at here, take a shot on Mass, you can control dribble it here, and you have Coombs still on your right if you need to take that pass back, because then Mass is coming full this way. So if you pop that to the back slowly right here, let Coombs get that tap in, there's no stopping that. But again, you're positioning too far ball side, getting ready to be like, oh, I'm going to come in when he makes a mistake, rather than being, I trust you, Coombs, I'm going to be over here, I'm going to make a passing lane for you to get me the ball. Because he can't pass you the ball if you don't get in a position to receive the pass. And I think that's probably the biggest mistake that I see in lower levels, is people being like, you never pass, why don't you pass me the ball? But it's like, you're not putting yourself in a spot to receive the pass. You're not open. You're not in a spot where you can get a good redirect. You need to be where, because when he passes you the ball, you need to be ready to shoot right then into an open net. And if you can't do that, then he's not going to pass you the ball. So go ahead and fill that role, get that spacing to receive that pass, to open up that lane, and then I guarantee you'll start seeing a lot more touches coming in on the assist, and it'll make a lot more sense. So Meatball comes, but he comes at it late now. So now he's chasing across. You probably, again, it was your corner, but because you were so far on this side, it became, you've cut all the way across this way. And now you're attacking at the goal rather than letting Doobs have this. I would have actually just conceded that and filled in the spot right here and played that in-between spot. So Coombs is now the far side, Meatball should be back, and Doobs is coming in here. And then again, we get nobody on the cross. Coombs, this is a really bad habit on going all the way back from a cross side boost. You have put way too much space here. If anything, you're grabbing the mid boost and kind of cutting this way, because the ball's still on their side, and you are responsible for the net. So creating this much space, now, if Wookie had gotten a good touch on that, you know, you're kind of in trouble as they're coming across this way. You have too much space, you can't challenge. While Meatball, again, you're coming back on the ball side. And again, and you loop back around again. Like, that is so ball heavy. There's no reason why you should be able to get a touch, flip around, get a touch, book it back into the corner, and get another touch over here before anyone on your team can get that. So just keep that in mind when that first instinct just to loop back around this way is just, you need to go wide and around. And you do fix it, you cut back this way, but even just that initial reaction of cutting this way, if Coombs had been in position to cut into that way, it could have caused some major problems. Good adaptation, Coombs. You did cut ball side, but you saw that Meatball was already cutting out, and you did what you had to do. You went up as close to the wall as possible in order to stay out of the way, and then cut this way. Not ideal, but given the situation, it was the correct call, and you did a good job of staying out of the way. Um, right here, going for okay. So here we have Doobs hits the ball. Coombs, you should be booking it up with him. This right here is a pass. So Doobs has hit it, and it's gone across the field over to here. Doobs, you're now the left man. Coombs, you need to be challenging this. You don't have time to be going grabbing this boost. You need to be gunning it, flipping it, whatever you need to do in order to try to get at least a hit on this. And then Doobs, you're trying to read this play either on a fast break if Coombs is going to win it, or get ready to loop back to support Meatball, who's heading towards net to protect Doobs. But Coombs, this needs to be yours, and Doobs, you need to be patient to sit out over here, because now we're back in that line, and that's a no-no, because Doobs has nobody to pass to on the far side. The other option would be if Doobs did stay on it, then Coombs, you still need to be booking it out, but you need to switch sides to cut out over here. So whatever happens, we need to have Doobs and Coombs on offense, one of y'all left and one of y'all right. And if y'all need to adapt it to where Doobs comes right and Coombs adapts to the far side, that's acceptable, but you need to get your triangle spacing. So mainly Coombs, you need to come up here, and then I feel like Doobs probably wouldn't have attacked that had you been there, and everything would have gone normally. But even if he had started to track it and Coombs started to come up a little bit late, you can still fix that by coming far side. Okay, so this is everybody on the ball, and that's not okay. Let's see what happened here. So Coombs is coming up in kind of like that half support position, and we have this line defense that's just really, really bad. So now Coombs thinks he has the ball, Meatball thinks he has the ball, and then Doobs is flipping back ball side, and now all three of you are in the same spot, to where if Obson hits this literally anywhere, from here to here to here to back here, anywhere in this area, you know, over here, there's nobody there to stop it. He has literally 90% of the field that he can hit this ball to, that will result in bad news for the blue team. Luckily, Meatball is able to get a touch, but again, he has no support now because Coombs and Doobs are both rotating back. And then we get a double commit because you both went back and then you both went forward. Not aware of, and Meatball's cutting back ball side while we get another double commit, and we're all in the same spot again. So we need to, again, space out, learn your side, stop going back ball side, pay attention to if you're on the left or the right, and who the two offensive players are. Okay, so again, we still have all three of you right here. We kind of fix it here, so we start to, Coombs, you probably should never reverse like this, unless you got bumped. No, you just reverse back. So if you can't get it, just swing out. Go out and around and get ready to loop, because if instead of reversing here, you could have actually boosted through and then beaten Doobs on the backside and then conceded that and been ready to support Meatball right behind there by filling in this next position and fix these rotations rather than going backwards. So instead, now we have Meatball coming in and nobody has his safety net, and you're kind of stuck in no man's land. So again, Meatball, this is what I call out of position. So if you look at the ball, you are basically between the ball and the opposing goal, which means any kind of hit you're going to get here is going to be a clear for the opposite team. So right here, you need to get over this, oh, I'm close to the ball, I need to go make a touch, I can touch this. And just realize the fact that I can't get a good touch on this, but if you look back, look at where Coombs is. Coombs can make a good touch on this. He can hit it right off this corner, right over here into the open side. So if you go over here, Doobs has to go back, but you can go over here and you can support Coombs and give him that passing lane, either cutting across to a uh, high sweeper position. You can bump the goalie so that Coombs has an open shot, or you can boost all the way around and steal this boost. Like, you have so many options here, but you got to get out of the way because Coombs can't come while you keep circling back. So now Coombs is kind of stuck without momentum, and you still go straight back into the ball as Coombs is trying to help you out and support, and then you're driving right back at Doobs. Whereas nobody is still over here in a position to support Coombs. So Meatball, you need to get comfortable going across and wide and being okay with being on the opposite side of the ball. So that's the biggest thing I see for Meatball is you never want to be on the opposite side of the ball. You've played too many ones and you want to just always the ball's on the right side, I'm on the right. Ball's on the left side, I'm on the left. And that's not the case in threes. There's always one person who's going to be on the off side, and you need to get used to and be comfortable in being in that position. A little bit quick here. Maybe you need to see that Doobs is still in the play. Even if he can't get a good touch, you can't double commit with him. You need to kind of sit back here, especially considering where is Coombs? Okay, well there's Coombs here. So now Coombs has to come up to fill your spot because you left early, and there's nobody here on the cross. So if Wookie gets a good pop out here, maybe to either Obson or Mass on the far side, there's nobody protecting this for that redirect shot on Coombs, who's in a position to protect goal from this way. But if you get a pop out here into an aerial from down this way, that's a very hard save. So by leaving early, you've forced the back man to come into net, leaving the cross wide open. So just be careful on your spacing here. So even though Dubes may not have been able to get like a very good clear here, you need to concede that to him until you see him book it out. And Dubes here, if you see, how does this, maybe don't sit on it quite so long there. If you see that you don't have a good touch, you can actually just jump off the wall and start going over this way to clear it up for Meatball. But whatever y'all decide, however you do it, Meatball, you need to call that, get Doobs out of the way, or notice that Doobs is there and concede the ball to him. Again, you're on the wrong side of the ball here, Meanie. So you get this touch right here. If you look at, you are on the wrong side of the ball. The ball is closer to our net than you are to our net. You are on further on the offensive side than the ball, and that is an automatic get out of the way sign. Get out of the way. The only thing you can do here is hit it back towards our net. You're driving right at the ball and hitting it back this way. Like, what? Why? In what world is that going to be useful? You're hitting it, you're helping the other team at this point by driving backwards, hitting the ball at us, messing up your teammate who's trying to read this play. So now not only does Coombs have to try to read, what, if Wookie's gonna get the hit, if Mass is gonna get the hit, if Obson's gonna get the hit. Now is Meatball gonna get the hit? Are they gonna pinch it? It's just one extra factor that Coombs is sitting back here like, oh god, what the hell is about to happen? All 5 of you are within 10 feet of this ball. If we get some space, if Meatball clears out of the way, let's see here. Doobs should have been going over this way already, ready for this and out. And the second he sees a bad touch by Meatball, looping back while Coombs comes in right here for this challenge. And again, Meatball, you're cutting straight down towards the near side goalpost, trying to play shadow defense, rather than going wide and around to fill your spot, and you just cut off Doobs while Coombs is going backside. And here, I feel like y'all are forgetting that backside is even a position here. There's one person on ball, there's one person in net, and there's one person on backside. So here we have Meatball, where was it? Okay, here it is. So Meatball cuts across, and then y'all are both moving around, and y'all both go for the goal position. One of y'all needs to go for the goal position, and one of y'all needs to be going out here, and y'all both just swing in here again, leaving this wide open, that if they get a touch over here this way, to come in from this side. Y'all are both looking the wrong way, getting ready for a shot from this side, and this whole half of the field is wide open for the taking. It was a good loop around Coombs, and he sees that he has time and is able to grab this ball. Doobs, you should be challenging this, and Coombs should be heading back to Phil. Coombs, yeah, here you need to recognize that Doobs has a better angle here. You have the goalie. Probably say something, because he'd been sitting there for a minute, and Coombs maybe wasn't aware that you were still there. But yeah, this should have been Doobs coming into clear, and Coombs, you should have been not swinging out. I would have gone right here rather than swinging out. You're the back man, so if anybody's coming here, Doobs is reading that Meatball's gotten this fast break, and he's the one who's booking it up. And Coombs, you're grabbing this boost and looping back this way, turning right towards the to go back goalpost, which frees up Doobs to be able to go on this, because that's going to be a lot faster than this coming up here, because then Doobs is just still stuck here, sitting and waiting, standing still, and you never want anyone standing still. Everything should be fluid with momentum. So Doobs, you should have gone up on that sooner, and Coombs should have come back to replace you. And that also comes down to Doobs hesitating. Meatball, you're coming right down the middle again. You need to get a little bit wider, because you never want to come straight in. You want to come in from the backside goalpost. If Doobs is, if anything, maybe even, well, he's coming in because he sees the play and he's making this read, but he is coming from a proper angle. Meatball, you need to swing a little bit wider, see that Doobs is here, and that even frees you up to go grab this corner boost on your way back. Instead, you kind of get cut off, and now you're in that straight line again. Meatball cuts back and loops around, and is now assisting on the ball side. You need to get over onto this far side again. I've already gone over that, so we'll just continue on. Oh man. Okay, so Meatball, who should be on the cross side, is now gone all the way over to this side and makes a backwards touch, which we've talked about. You never want to be touching the ball going backwards. You shouldn't even be here. You should be backing up, ready to replace Doobs, who's coming in. But now Doobs, who should be coming in for his touch, is now having to hit the brakes, because you, his teammate, is now hitting the ball directly at him towards his goal, with two enemies coming back on the far side. And not only that, you are not in the position where you're supposed to be to replace him. So not only does he have to worry about you scoring on him, he has to worry about the fact that you are not his safety net like you're supposed to be. So not only did you make the shot harder for Doobs to come in there, you've made it to where he has to make this play, otherwise y'all get scored on. That is counterproductive. The team would literally be better if you stood still at this point. If you just AFK'd for a second, watched the play go on. Do not ever loop back and hit the ball towards your own net. Ever, ever on 100 years for threes. Literally the only thing is a casual tap back when your man is coming back with a direct pass to Doobs, who is ready for that. But that is much, much higher level, and you gotta see that, and you all gotta be on the same page. So just for now, take it under advisement. Never do this. Like there may be some situations later on where this rule can be changed, but for now, don't ever do that again. And then just look at that. So you come back across this way, and now Coombs, who's looping back, gets rammed by Meatball, who's attacking the ball towards his own net. Poor Doobs, who's trying to play the ball, do his job, is now having to dodge both of y'all who have rammed each other in the midfield. Still nobody has his back. He's still having to fight against both of his teammates and these guys who are going up for a touch here. Gets another bump. And they inevitably score, because obviously, how could they not? That is, I will put that 100% on Meatball, that entire play. Literally, when you looped back around here, you hit the ball, you made it impossible for Doobs to challenge, you cut back across here, you bumped Coombs, who's coming in to replace him, you weren't the safety net where you were supposed to be. So you weren't in position and you messed up both of your teammates. Alright, I'm sorry, Meatball. I'll try not to ream into you too hard, but really, that play is the one that just drives me absolutely bonkers and will make your team rage on you. Okay, let's look at this. This is good. Okay, so here we have. Let's see how this played out. So, Doobs and Meatball are forwards. You shouldn't be following so close. We need to have a left and a right here. But, however, Doobs does fix it. So he goes through the ball and notices that Meatball's here, and that's a little bit boosted to stay back this way. You should be kind of going this way already. But he does fill the position of being this cross man, and he's able to get that touch. Ideally, you would have gone a little bit further this way, and Meaty would have gotten more of a touch out as a pass rather than a shot that Doobs had to fix up. But overall, much better than what I've been seeing. Meatball go across, Meatball go across, Meatball go across. Okay, so Meatball, you need to be getting out of the way. Doobs has the better angle to come hit this. If you just split off this way, Doobs can control this, and you have a 2v1 fast break right here. Obson is going to have to challenge this way while Doobs controls the ball, and he gets a little touch right here, flicks it up and over, and Meatball, you get an easy goal. Instead, you decide to drive backwards and make a backwards aerial attempt at the ball and boost into it, and now you're in no man's land. Now Doobs has nobody that he can pass to. He has to try to make this shot against two goalies, and and here, if you had been right there, that's your shot, man. He puts it right off the backboard. You can get that dunk. And then Coombs has to come up to fill the position, and Meatball, but this is actually a good adaptation by the group, that Coombs came in and Meatball filled the back while Doobs comes around on the backside, but it shouldn't have to be done. Okay. So that's good. We go across, Meatball follows the ball with the touch, that's totally okay. Here, and we have two forwards and a back man. Meatball, you're still going back on the ball side. Get out of there. Go around. You're ruining this for Doobs. You're making Doobs' life very, very difficult by just keep coming at the ball. So now he has to worry not only how his mask is going to touch it, but what if he touches it straight down onto Meatball, who launches it over my head? Because nobody has his back yet. Because it's Doobs' job to make an attempt at this to slow it down for Coombs to get back. So Coombs, you're a little too far out here, man. You should probably be more in this area, headed back over here. It's just a little bit too much space. And Doobs is now responsible to, he has to get a good touch on this, otherwise it's a fast break. And Meatball, you're just making that so much harder for him. See, now he's also having to, is he going to touch it? Is he going to hit it off Meatball? Am I going to hit Meatball? I have to dodge Meatball, but I also have to get a good hit. And you're still just right here on the ball. You're still just 100%. Meatball's got this. Meatball's got this all the time. You need to be okay with getting off the ball sometimes. Excellent, Doobs. You see, okay, so Doobs is on a fast break here. This is perfect. He he goes up. He's the first one, but he misses it. And still, there's nobody here for this, which ideally you should have made that shot, yeah. But his reaction to the mechanical misplay is absolutely correct, and that's more what I'm worried about here. So he sees that he missed the ball over here on the right, and he knows that his next spot to go to is right over here on the left. So he books it here on the left, and now Meatball's coming up here. And look, if Meatball had been a little bit closer, if he had been able to follow up and get that touch, Doobs is in the perfect spot right here with a wide open net, open, ready to take this kind of shot, anything over in this area. You do need to be headed back here though. And Meatball, again, you need to be heading across. That you're doing the meatball loop there, Doobs. You need to get out of the way. There you go. Oh man, okay. So again, back into this line, Doobs did the little loop rather than going out and around, and so now we have this weird kind of everybody together. Meatball comes up and then also does the loop straight back, and now everybody just keeps going for it and turning around and going straight back. And you're bumping into each other, you're getting in each other's way, and you're making it even harder for people who are trying to get the good touch by trying to go for a touch you shouldn't go for. Coombs, you need to get a little bit faster on these rotations. Yeah, I do like that you're going wide and on the correct side, but you're pretty much hugging the wall. It's like you're trying to take all 3 boosts to make the path as long as possible. I do like the fact that you're kind of trying to stay in the right position, but you can take a bit of a shortcut here. You can stay right in this area. You don't need mid boost and corner boost. You know, if you steal that one or steal this one, you can just grab it and then start cutting back across. Cheat these angles, keep that spacing, because you're opening up way too many gaps here, and that kind of leads to the um, people people feel the need to cut you when you're too far away. So if they're expecting to see you at a certain time, and then it takes you like an extra 2 seconds to get there, at that point, those whole 2 seconds, I'm like, where's my teammate? Where's my teammate? I can't see him. I can't see him. Okay, I'm gonna do it, because I've given up on the fact that you're coming, when it's just because you're late, and I can't see that being up on the front side. So it's just something to keep in mind. Cut these corners a little bit. Try to narrow that spacing gap a little bit. All right, so Coombs kind of goes middle to support. It should probably be a little bit wider, but I'm okay with that. But Ball did not cross the net though, so Coombs, this is not your ball, because you're kind of having to go this way and this way. You should be a little bit wider out here, looking for a better tap from Meatball. And Meatball, you should be going over this way to replace him. Coombs should already be coming out, and this should actually be Doobs, who should be flying in to replace Meaty on this side. So Doobs was coming up to take that, but because Coombs cut him off and Meatball went back, now we have 2 people on the front. Meatball cutting back on the ball side, all by himself on defense. And one more time we have Meatball cutting across from the backside, ignoring his teammate to try to get an attempt at the ball. And I think that's pretty much the end of the game. So if I were to break it down on what I think everybody needs to work on, Meatball, you need to be okay with not being on the ball. You need to be okay with booking it out and across. You need to be okay with sitting on the far side, and you need to get used to doing your angles. You need to get used to not going back ball side, and just really getting that big circular momentum and not cutting off your teammates. Be aware of where your team are. If you see a teammate in front of you, don't drive past him for the ball. You're his support. Watch him. Wait for when he's going for the ball. Trust him and fill his spot. Um, Doobs, I would say you've been doing a pretty good job. You hesitate a little bit. Just being a little bit faster and more deliberate with where you're going will probably help your team adapt to a little bit more. And finally, but overall, your positioning on the different sides were pretty on point. Coombs, your biggest thing would probably just be how wide and slow you're going. You're creating too much of a gap on a lot of these spots, and you're trying to go wide, but you're staying a little bit too narrow. So try to just scoot out a little bit more, Coombs, when you go on the wing, and try to be a little bit faster with your rotations. Don't be afraid to just boost and flip, grab a boost, and kind of cut that angle a little bit, because you're wasting an extra 2-3 seconds. That's really costing rotations when you're looping back, going all the way along the wall. Um, and that's pretty much it. That's what I got for you. If you guys have any questions, or if it's something you feel like I didn't cover, message or comment, I'd be happy to go over it with you, or just send me another replay, and I'll go over, um, hopefully not the same stuff, but any other things that you feel like need to be fixed. All right.